Hello and welcome to episode 117 of Tom's Hirschsprung's podcast. I'm joined this afternoon by Shakeyra. Shakeyra, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me,
Well, it's
Tom.
my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Now, you have Hirschsprungs, and we are going to talk really about your story, your journey with Hirschsprungs. So it's over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. And like I said, I feel as if, I need to talk about it. I am a shy person and, like to keep things, between like with myself and my mom who actually been there with me through it. And also other family members as well. But so a little backstory about me. I'm 34 years old. Um, I was born October the 26th. And when I was born, I was born with it, but they weren't educated on, Hirschsprung's disease. They was like, oh, just add fiber, add fiber. But I kept LeBonner Hospital was like my second home. Like I stayed in the hospital and they was like, well, let's try enema. And they would do enemas until like my behind would just bleed and I would be in so much pain. I was like, well, we don't understand, why she's having this problem because everything, is she's perfectly fine, but I wasn't perfectly fine at all. So that was like just increase her fiber, increase her fiber. So that's what my mom did. She increased my fiber. And so as I got older, like, growing up, I still had the complication. And I was like, well, try prune juice. And I was like, no. And I was like, oh, well, try mineral oil. And mineral oil, it actually was better because it didn't have a taste and it didn't like gripe my stomach or anything. So it was pretty much okay for a couple of years, I think, or a couple of months. And then after that, it just went like right back to like, okay, what is going on? So as I got in, I think I think it was like high school is like when it started to get worse. And I would just cry and it would look like as if um 5 or 6 months pregnant. And I was like, God, I'm in so much pain, like something is wrong. And I told my mama, I said, look, something is not right. And I know it's not because there's no reason why I can't go to the restroom. There's no reason why I'm hurting this bad as I am. And so um, I said, I'm going to take a stand. So I called around, got me an appointment, and he wanted to do a cleanse. And I didn't really care for it because, you would have to disrobe from bottom down and they would have this thing and it will basically you bag into it and it goes into your rectum and they would put I think like water to try to flush it out. And I was like, oh, it helps, it helps, it helps. And then after that was like, we're gonna do a colonoscopy. So did the colonoscopy. I had to drink so much stuff. And even with me drinking all of that, I still wasn't clean. I was like, wow, that was like this stuff normally works. And I was like, well, let's do a week prior to all the way up until. So that's what I did. un- unsuccessful again. And I was like, well, let's try this and try the Miralax. And I was like, why am I gonna keep taking this? And it's gonna keep making me sick. It made me so sick. I was just throwing up. I was shaking. I was like, I'm not gonna keep doing this, like, because it's not working. So I told my mom, I was like, I need to go somewhere else. So I stopped going to the doctor. I went to a different doctor, and this doctor was like, okay, well, we're gonna help you. We're gonna help you. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. Okay, I'm the best doctor it is out here. And I was like, okay, I really didn't trust it. So I was like, I'll just give you a shot. Epic failure. He couldn't figure it out. So then I went to a different doctor, and he asked, what was going on. And I told him, and he said, well, you know, when they were telling you to add fiber to your diet, you were only making your condition worse. So I didn't know that. So I was making my condition worse than what it already was. And I was like, oh my God. So then I just stopped using, fiber. I had cut it all the way down for a minute. And then I was like, well, let me try to go on a meatless diet. So I did fruits, I did smoothies. I was like, I'm gonna do a smoothie like for like 3 weeks and see if it'll help. Did the smoothies, didn't work. I did with just baked fish, didn't work. I tried asparagus, and I used to love asparagus. Well, one day I caught myself and eat some asparagus with my fish, and the next day I was in the hospital, and I was like, "Oh my God! Like, what is going on?" My condition was like, "Yep, nope." So now I can't even eat asparagus anymore. It's a lot of stuff that I used to like love and like eat. Now it's like I can't eat it anymore because it don't agree with me. And it was like, yeah, nope, nope. Every time I try something, nope, go straight to the emergency room. And so it was just frustrating because I'm like, look, something is wrong. Like, I need help. Like, I was just crying. I was like, just please tell me what it is. Like, I need help. I really do. And so they was like, okay, well, we're going to do another um, colonoscopy. So did the other colonoscopy. Epic failure. They could never get me all the way cleaned out. Never. No matter and I would drink jugs and jugs of it. And I'm like, oh, like I hated it because it would make me so sick. And no matter how much I used the restaurant, it was never enough to go do a successful um colonoscopy. So I started going to this doctor named Dr. Katz, and he wanted to do a a test where you take the pills and see how long it took to for it to come out. Epic failure. Everything was just failing, and I was just like, oh my God. And so I was going. One time I got sick, and when I got sick, I went to the hospital, and my bowels were literally seconds from rupturing. I made it to the hospital just in time. They had to rush me to the OR, and they put me to sleep, and they had to do a fecal disinfection because I had I had a blockage in my stomach the size of a newborn baby head stuck in my rectum and in my stomach. So it was just tough for me, and I was just in so much pain, and I was just so uncomfortable, and all I could do was cry because it's like what is it? Like no, seriously, like what is it? Because it's just I'm tired of suffering, and it went from that point to where I was in a hospital every 2.5, 3 weeks getting fecal disinfections done because of I kept getting blockages, and then my stomach would run off so bad to like where a piece of it would just break around of it, and it would just make my stomach run off, and it was exhausting because you can't get any sleep, you can't eat anything. So I was like, someone was like, well, try flour and water. So I started doing it every time I would get it would run off real bad because it would irritate me as well. And so I would try that. I drink it. That stopped working. So they was like, we're gonna do a biopsy on you. And I was like, okay, I need it because something is wrong. And so again, like they never told me my results. And the reason how I knew it was Hirschsprung's disease is because so one day I went back to St. Francis Hospital, and I was so, oh my God, I was so sick. And my insurance um it lapsed because I had just turned 18. I was like, okay, well, you're not on your mom's insurance anymore. So they turned me around and they wouldn't see me. So, and I was hurting so bad. And I feel like my bowels was finna rupture. And I was like, God, please don't let this rupture and kill me. So my mama, she rushed me to Methodist South. And once I got there, they checked me in and did everything. They wanted to do a CAT scan. So I said, okay. Once I did the CAT scan, the doctor came back and he said, well, how long have you had Hirschsprung's disease? And I was like, we've always, they always said it could either be Crohn's or Hirschsprung's disease, but I never knew it was Hirschsprung's disease. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, you have Hirschsprung's disease. I said, well, I never knew that. And he said, yeah, St. Francis diagnosed you with it. He was like, they didn't tell you? And I was like, no, they didn't tell me. And he was like, well, you have Hirschsprung's disease. And right now we finna rush you to the OR because your bowels are finna rupture. So I was like, just imagine how I felt getting that bomb dropped on top of me. And I had to literally go into straight into emergency surgery because my bowels was finna rupture. And I was like, oh my God. So once I got a name to it, I kept trying to find a doctor here in Memphis who I could see, that'll try to help me. Couldn't get no help. So the surgeon who I met at Methodist South, his name is Dr. Rodney Martin. And he was a surgeon. So he stayed doing surgery. I mean, he told me to come to his office and, we would see and he would try to help me. So he would do fecals, fecal disinfections on me, and I would go home like a few days later. He would send me home with, a couple of pain pills. And then, so one time I actually got sick and I was like, okay, let me pick up my bag because I know my bowels been a rupture, you know. And then I was trying to get disability because I couldn't work anywhere. And it was so hard for me. And so um I remember one time I was was supposed to start working at FedEx, and I went, did my orientation. I wasn't feeling good while I was there, but I was like, I'm gonna just, toughen it out. When I got through with my orientation, I literally walked outside. I was waiting on my mom to come pick me up, and I was hurting so bad I collapsed in the parking lot. When I woke up, I was in the hospital, and they were like, "Well, we don't know how to unstop you." And I was like, "This is crazy." And then my mom, she called my manager and said that, um, hey, she was sick, she collapsed, but she really need her insurance. So he let me come to work, and I worked all the way up until he retired. And after that, I had to pull out because I couldn't work anywhere else because they wouldn't let me, because of my condition. And it was just tough. So when I started going to Methodist South and seeing my surgeon, Dr. Martin, he told me, since you don't have any insurance, you have to, you will have to pay a lot of money to get your large colon removed because my colon, it wasn't working at all. It wasn't functioning. It was just terrible. So um I was trying to get my disability. That was like, oh well, we're think she's fine. It took so long for it to get approved, and once it got approved, I went back to the hospital because I got sick, of course, and they did the fecal disinfection. And so normally he would let me go home, after a few days of being in the hospital. He would send me home with pain medication, and he'll have me follow up in his office. So this time, I was in the hospital. I had put on my clothes. I was like, I'm finna go home, you know, and he, I'm gonna see him outpatient. And so he came in and he was like, why you got your clothes on? And I was like, well, you always let me go home, you know. And he was like, yeah, you need to take your clothes back off. And I was like, what's wrong? And he was like, it wasn't successful. Tomorrow I'm removing your entire large colon. So yeah, you got less than 24 hours. And I was like, what? And so I was like, oh my God. And I was so scared. I was in surgery for so long, so many hours. And it was a lot. And so after that, I thought maybe, I would be better. Absolutely not. Still had complications. Still was having surgeries. I'm talking about when I've had over 100 plus surgeries, and I'm still having them to this day. And it's so bizarre because it's like I need help, and I can't get help here,
No,
and it's so tough.
that's
It's so tough.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's just an incredible story thus far. Just in terms of, I, I, I can't quite get the whole. You were diagnosed with Hirschsprung's, but nobody kind of told you. That's the thing, or nobody kind of told you or your mum or whoever that you had Hirschsprung's, which I mean, that's astonishing to me that nobody. At what age? because you said you were sort of around sort of high school age. At what age did somebody finally tell you
I
that
found
you had it?
I, I found out when I was in my 20s. So
20.
I had literally like 21, 22 is when I found out because I had went to the hospital and I was like, well, your insurance left and they won't see you. And so my mom was like, I'm gonna rush you to another hospital. And that's how I was able to find out. And again, it's just so crazy because like I need help and I can't get the help here in Memphis. I can't, far as pain wise, I can't get help here because they wanna, okay, well let's do a nerve block. Yes, I'm sorry.
There we go.
Okay, um so yeah, it after I got the large portion of my colon removed, I thought everything would be okay, but it wasn't. I now have a ileostomy bag, and I had to get a uh, pro- is it a protectomy done? Is
Uh,
what they call it, Barbie butt.
yes. So yes, the name's gone out of my head, but yes, I know what you mean, but the name's gone out of my head.
Yes, and it's just and I'm still having surgery to this day. And I've been trying to get help because again, I can't get help here in Memphis and I've tried everything. But a couple of years, like maybe 2 years ago, like 2004, 2005, I actually no, it was 2004. Yeah. So my grandmother pastor, her my grandmother and her pastor, they they was praying for me and I was like, hey, what's going on? And I told them, I was like, I don't know and I need help. And so I started calling around and try to see where I could get help from. And I got in contact with Shane's Hospital. It's in Gainesville, Florida. And I went there where they actually came up with the money for me to fly out there. And when I got up there, I got admitted to the hospital and they were helping me out. But I had to leave you know, because of financial wise. And I didn't want my mom to lose her job. So I left and came back here, and it's just been the same since. Like, okay, you can't get any help from anywhere. And I don't, I'm not the person to, just ask for help financially or whatever. But I really do need help. Like, if it's, anybody out there that can help me, like, I'll take it. Like I'm listening because it's just getting worse and worse. And what people fail to realize is with Hirschsprung's disease, it comes with a lot of things. Like I had um heart surgery. I had a tumor that was on the back of my neck that I had to get removed. And once I got it removed, I thought, okay, since they closed it, I would be okay. No, it bust wide open and it was just terrible. And it's a lot. It's a lot. Some days are like I have a lot of bad days, but when I do have my good days, I praise them because, like, yay, you don't have me today. I don't feel down. I don't feel, sad or whatever. But it's a lot. And
Yeah,
a lot of people, they don't realize or understand, but this is a serious condition, and you would never know until it's you walking in the shoes.
yeah, yeah. I think so. I mean, Hirschsprung's is such an odd one, isn't it? Because it is so different for everybody, and you'll
It
have.
is.
I've spoken to people before who they've had the pull through surgery and then kind of nothing else really. They'll have pull through. Everything will seem as normal can be, and then um, they'll live the rest of their lives. And then you have some who are sort of on right on the other end of the spectrum um, of hundreds of surgeries in and out of hospital, and then where everything gets a lot more complicated. So Hirschsprung's, I think, for anybody listening, Hirschsprung's is very different in different people. So when and also with it being very rare, it's also very difficult for people to, I mean, even know what the condition is, what part of the body it even affects. If you've never heard of Hirschsprung's before, you wouldn't automatically go, well, it's a stomach condition. Um, so and then to think, well, actually, it's very different in lots of different people. I think is something that's definitely important to bear in mind. So when you're going through a lot of different surgeries, a lot of issues, are you, as well as talking to lots of different doctors, are you doing bits and pieces of your own research as well and trying to sort of look and find out you know, what could potentially be the issue as well as talking to different doctors?
Well, the doctors talking, that I've talked to, is they they get it, but they don't get it, and it's like, you have the worst case of it, and it's just like we don't know how to approach it. We don't know how to help you, and it's different. It's difficult. And I look online and I look at different people's videos and I try to, you know, do my own research and figure, okay, what can I do to, you know, make this not so much of a hard, but kind of semi normal, you know.
Yeah,
Is and like you said, a lot of people's situations are different, and people be like, well, what's there? Oh, oh, you just got a stomach condition. You can't use the restroom. I mean, all you have to do is use this, and you can go. Like, no, that's not it. Like, you don't understand. You couldn't even fathom the surgeries and the procedures and just everything along with Hirschsprung's in itself. Like, you wouldn't know what it is. You wouldn't know how the other person feels. But I feel as if for us who have it, like, we can understand each other because we go through it, and like nobody else understand what it is. Like, one girl, she asked me, she said, what do you think? You just need to be on like laxatives and everything will be okay? Or do you think, you need to take this and you'll be better? And it's like, no, you have the slightest idea. And she was like, well, they say, you catch it at a baby and then it can be reversed. And, everything is, no, it's not. you, it's not reversible.
No,
I mean, you, you're stuck with this for life. Is, some people, they just don't understand.
no, no.
Um,
That's right. And I think it was as we record now. Last week, I asked for people's assumptions with Hirschsprungs so that I could do a post about it. And there was a lot in there talking about, well, you had it as a baby, so therefore you don't have it anymore. Well, that's not true. You will always have Hirschsprungs.
mm,
Yes, you'll have, in many cases, in almost all cases, you will have surgery in order to remove the part that doesn't work, the pull through surgery. There's three different ways of doing that. But, just because you had the surgery, I think it's really important to recognize individuality in everybody, that just because you had the surgery, that doesn't necessarily mean that
you
everything's fine. It
don't.
also doesn't necessarily mean that you won't have surgery again. It is. I think you're right. It is really individual, really, really individual. You said also you had, because obviously you had the colon removed, and you said you had the worst case of Hirschsprung's. Did they give, was that sort of, did they give a proper medical name for that, or did they just say this was, just a very severe case?
I They just said that I have the worst case of Hirschsprung's disease. And, again, like Memphis, don't get me wrong, I love where I live. But again, they're not educated, and I can't get help here. So it's just like, oh, well, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out, and then they will get so far into it, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, we we thought we knew what we were doing, but no, we don't know what we're doing. Like it's way, it's way deeper than what we thought and what we could handle. So it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot, you know, and it gets overwhelming at times
yeah,
because, like I said, it comes with different things. And I went to the hospital and I was like, oh, well, we found something and it looked like cancer. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I was like, we seen it in your stomach. And I'm like, well, I'm just praying to God that once they retest it, it's not because it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And having a lot of surgeries that's, on your stomach and other parts that Hirschsprung's disease will show up with. Like some people, like one girl, she said, she asked me, she said, um, so when you have Hirschsprung's disease, you just have Hirschsprung's disease and that's it. No, like a lot of people, they have Hirschsprung's and it comes with a lot of different other stuff. Like I saw one story. This lady, she said she had her son had Hirschsprung's disease, and along with his Hirschsprung's disease, he had heart problems and epilepsy. Like it's just not, just that by itself. It's a lot, way more to it than that, and it's just, man, and I just keep fighting and I keep trying. And it's just like a good day is a good day. And a bad day is like, okay, it's a bad day. I'm mostly in bed, like balled up crying with the heating pad on my stomach. It's just hard. It is.
Yeah,
And I just,
you're right. There's a lot of other associated conditions. Again, things that I didn't know. I mean, there's some that are probably more well known, like Down syndrome and Hirschsprung's. A lot of people do have that, but there are a lot of conditions that, again, how much are related to the Hirschsprung's and how much is just having that separate condition on its own. I don't know. Again, that would be individual in everybody. But there are a lot of other associated conditions when it comes to Hirschsprung's. You mentioned there about good days and bad days. And I think everyone with Hirschsprung's can definitely relate to that. Whether you have a more severe case, or whether you have less severe case, I guess. Everybody goes through those good days, those bad days, and sometimes there's just no reason for it. It's not necessarily something you've eaten or something you've done or whatever. It's just what it is. But talk to me about the good days for you. What do the good days look like for you?
good days for me is like, um, I get to interact with my 15-year-old brother. I get to go outside and, play with him. A good day is me dancing, and a good day is me going outside walking because I live downtown, so it's real pretty and peaceful. And when it's not freezing, I love to go walk. But lately, I was like, you know what? If it's a good day, I just stay in the house and I just like line dance and I just spend time with my family, you know. So a good day is just like I love my good days. We watch, me and my brother, we watch movies together, and it's not so much of me um condemned to a bed, confined to a bed.
Yeah,
So that's what a good day is for me.
yeah. No, and I think that's another thing when I guess this kind of goes for chronic illness in general, but those things like going out for a walk, not being, you know, confined to one particular place or one part of the house, being able to play sports, being able to go and see friends, socialize, go out
Mhm.
wherever. I think a lot of people take that for granted. If you don't have a chronic illness or anything of that nature, I think people definitely take those things for granted. And it's interesting that you say, my good days are when I can do this, 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 and this, which I think a lot of people without our condition and without a chronic illness condition would probably say, well, that's a normal day, you know.
Mhm.
So I think that's really interesting that sort of the good days are just again, I just are just when you're just kind of well enough. Would that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And like I said, I mean, with Hirschsprung's disease, you don't get to pick and choose like when today's a good day. Because some people be like, dog, you still don't feel good, and I'm like, if I had the power, I mean, I would be better every day. You know, but again, with Hirschsprung's disease, you don't get to pick when it's a good day. You don't get to pick whether you're gonna have a great day or a bad day. It's just like, hey, here I go.
No, you don't.
So
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it'd be great if we could. If like, every month we could say, okay, well, you're allowed 5 bad days and 25 good days, and we could just pick the good days and the bad days. That would be amazing.
it does. It would. A lot of people, I tell people all the time, like, you know, with this condition and by being so bad, you don't get to choose. You know, if I'm like today isn't a good day for me, but I'm hanging in here. I'm gonna keep fighting until I can't fight no more. So, and then again, when it's a good day, I'm like, hey, I'm up dancing and I'm messing around on TikTok, playing dance with my brothers. So, I mean, I cherish my good days, and I feel like people need to cherish their great days, despite of the Hirschsprung's disease, despite of us not feeling good. And I totally agree with you with what you said because, if it's an us versus a normal person, it's like, well, that's normal for us. It always a good day. Sometimes 9 times out of 10, it's always gonna be a good day for them. But it's not like that for us. It's totally different.
Absolutely. And I
And
think that's an excellent sentiment to wrap up on because I think, you know, having those good days and cherishing those good days, I
mhm,
think cherishing potentially what we take for granted. And again, with people who have Hirschsprungs and most days are good days, I think we take those for granted as well. That just how ill we were, or how ill we have been, and then so I think that's incredibly that's a really good message. I think just to cherish those good days. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing what has been thus far. Yeah, a really really interesting story. Full of I think a lot of parts that people will listen to and recognize. And I wish you, yes, all the very, very best for the future going forward.
thank you so much. And thank you for, having me as well. And it's been great talking to you, you
It's
know.
my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.